I've been doing so much with my digital journal lately that I honestly forgot how much I love the just regular pen and paper journal, and I really enjoyed taking these notes. So for Joshua 8, we read about how the Israelites went up against the city of Ai. And we read prior in chapter 7 how they were easily defeated by Ai, right? So they went, they looked in the city, they said, oh, this city is not, there's not a lot of people who live there. We only need to send 3,000 men. And the people of Ai, the men of Ai, actually chased Israel out. And I think they killed, I think it was 36 Israelites, if I remember correctly. And so one great thing that I just love is how God opens up with encouragement. He tells Joshua, do not be afraid in verse 1. Do not be afraid. Upon embarking a huge task, the first thing that God does is encourages. And I know for myself in 2023, there are some goals and aspirations that I have for myself. And I often just doubt, and these are goals and aspirations that I truly feel like God has put in my heart. And so I do believe that they are in line with what He wants me to do, because sometimes we can have goals and aspirations that we create for ourselves. And, that is not going to work. It's just not. I've been there. I've done that. I'm done with that. And so I'm only focused on the things that I know that God is calling me to do. But sometimes it can feel very daunting, especially if you've tried something in the past and it didn't work. Just like the people of Israel, they tried to defeat this nation in the past. It looked pretty simple and they were defeated. And it hurt Joshua. And God is so loving that He just stops and He says, don't be afraid. And I can never get over that. I know I say this in so many videos, but God's love and compassion for us is something that, man, I can't even wrap my mind around, that He will stop running the universe. Not stop running the universe. He can do everything simultaneously. But you know what I mean? He'd stop running the universe just to say, hey, don't be afraid. Just to encourage, just to tell us, hey, you're loved. Do not worry, just to speak to us and comfort us. I'm just so appreciative of that. So I just thought that was so cool how that's how the chapter opened up. I put here, I'm so thankful for the loving kindness our God has for us. God provided Joshua with specific instructions and Joshua followed them. You can't lead for God unless you are humble. So if you are in a leadership position, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, whether it may be in your group of friends, you tend to maybe be a little bit of a leader and, propose ideas and people kind of follow the things that you say. Be humble, because if you're not humble, God will quickly humble you. And we see this in the Bible. There's so many examples in the Bible. One that I can easily think of is in the book of Samuel, 1 Samuel, with Saul, King Saul. He was, God appointed Saul as king, and Saul got ahead of himself. He was not humble, and God quickly removed him. And then the king that came after him was King David, who ended up being in the lineage of Jesus, our Savior, which is incredible. But Saul was humbled. We can't get ahead of ourselves. Even in the previous chapter, the people of Israel, when they thought that, they could easily defeat Ai, we have to be careful and know that our success is only because of God. That is something that I often remind myself and just remember, and just not get ahead of God, stay humble, and don't think that I can do anything on my own strength, because I can't, you can't, we cannot. So Joshua carried out the plan exactly as God commanded, and Israel was victorious. And the men of Ai chased Israel in Joshua chapter 7, verse 4, and they killed 36, yes, it was 36 Israelite men. And now, look at what happened. Israel, the same thing that happened before. Now Israel drew them out. Instead of them getting defeated, the entire city was defeated and burned. And God allowed them to keep the plunder for themselves. And the city that once brought great fear to Israel was now totally defeated. And we can read about that in Joshua chapter 7, verse 4. So it's crazy. Look at that. Look at how God can easily change the scenario and change things around. You never know when your time is coming for God to change something in your life. And maybe there's something that you're so afraid of, but it'll end up being a victorious thing for you. So don't forget that. Don't get ahead of yourself, and don't get ahead of God, but don't get ahead of yourself and believe that you can do things on your own strength. God will humble you if you think that you can do that. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Not without Christ, through him, with him. So that's basically what I got out of this chapter. Stay humble, keep focused on God, be patient, take everything one day at a time, and he will see you through it. Let me know what you learned. I post a new Bible study video on Wednesdays and Fridays at 7 a.m. Eastern, and I can't wait to study the Bible with you again. Bye.